So the day is finally here. It's my first drive in the first UK Citroen Ami. It's finally here, and it's finally time to answer the question: will it make it the 15 miles home? Or, as you've all been predicting, will those treacherous roads just be too much for it? Let's find out, shall we? So I was planning on doing a bit of a handover thing at the dealership and doing some filming and stuff there, but it was a little bit too noisy to get some decent sound, and I know how all you sound engineers like to moan in the comments about the sound quality, so we will do it this way instead. But here we are. This is the first journey in the UK's first Citroen Ami that's been delivered to a customer. And you will probably notice it's a little bit crowded in here because I've got the Ami orange pack in this big box here. And I've also got a camera suction cup to the glass roof, and I'm hoping it's going to stay there because that could be quite interesting if it decides to go elsewhere during this journey. It's a 15 mile, just over 15 mile journey home from the dealership. Warner, Citroen and Tewkesbury, who were absolutely fantastic. The handover process was great, even though everything was all a little bit new. Ran through all the basics, although I mean I think I'm pretty well up to speed with the ins and outs of the Ami by now, or at least you would hope so. And did a little bit of photography for Citroen themselves, being the first customer delivery. They wanted to mark that. They even gave me a bottle of champagne, which fits perfectly in the cup holder up front here, which is really nice. And yeah, first thing I noticed, it's quite interesting how bare it is in here without any of the additions. So obviously everything in this big box here you will get to see me add to the Ami at some point, but this is a base model car as it comes. So if you've ordered the base spec, this is exactly what you'll get. And in a future video we'll take a closer look at what that actually means, what you actually get if you just order the base car without any of the optional extras. So that should be quite interesting, and I think that it's quite a fun way that Citroen do that. They make the base car, and then the colour packs are just a load of optional extras that come with it. It's chucking out time at the school, and there's a lot of people looking at me right now, which is, I guess I'll need to get used to it. What on earth is that? VMAX already, 28 miles an hour. Thankfully this is a 30 zone. I still think it feels like it's got more to give. I said that when I drove one before. You know, you get to 28 and it cuts off so sharply. I definitely think there's a bit more lurking in there. I know there are loads of you eagerly awaiting information about your order. Those of you that had, like me, had original delivery dates in early September or maybe slightly beyond. And the good thing is that you will be hearing from Citroen UK very shortly with some news about your order and how to continue with the process. So hang on in there. I know a lot of people are getting a little bit restless and, like me, very excited, very keen to learn more. But they are getting to you, and it will happen. They very much used my order as a bit of a guinea pig. They've been ironing out some bugs in the process and getting there, so hopefully that means by the time they get to you things will go very smoothly for you. Just need to wait a little bit longer, but we should start seeing some other people at least being contacted about their deliveries very shortly. It's going to be worth the wait, honestly. And it's every bit as brilliant as it was when I test drove the press car in Coventry. It's just so much fun. So I'm in two minds what route to take to get home. I could either stay on the A38 pretty much all the way and have to go through some 50, 60 mile an hour zones, or I can maybe turn off and take some back roads and keep the average speed down a little bit. So I'm in a 40 at the moment, and there's definitely people behind me, but it is what it is. It is warm in here. It's certainly a lovely day for it. The sun is shining, but it is definitely quite warm in here. I could do to have the windows open, but trying to keep the noise down for the sake of the sound. But I think if I wasn't filming, I'd definitely have the windows open. It is quite warm in here. I definitely think one of the first accessories I'm going to be seeking out is the blind for the roof to try and make it a bit more bearable. I mean, of course, we're firmly in autumn now, heading into winter, so maybe the heat and the sun won't be as much of an issue for too much longer, but we shall see. So this is where it might get a little bit interesting. Entering a 50 zone now. I'm sure the traffic behind will appreciate that very much. Although what we do have is quite a big wide road with a cycle lane that's with dashed lines, so I think we will keep to the left, and that should keep people happy enough. So we need more roads like this, I think, where we can coexist in perfect harmony. And I guess it's technically legal for me to drive here. There's no solid white lines. I'm sure the highway code experts will tell me that what I'm doing is wrong, but it enables the traffic to keep flowing. I'm not getting in anybody's way. It's absolutely fine. I've got 29 mile an hour shown on the speedo now though, going downhill slightly. Perfect. So I can do more than 28, but you might need just a bit of a run up. That's where I think we will start taking some really more scenic routes, I think. Although I did go a few hundred yards on a 70 mile an hour dual carriageway without dying, please let that be noted. People say about left-hand drive and visibility, but I'll tell you what does impair visibility. Because I don't buy into the whole left-hand drive is a bad thing at all. But what does impair visibility is having a big old box in the cabin. So if you're buying an Ami with an orange pack or a colour pack and you're driving it home, you might want to think about that. Although what I will say is that the dealership did offer to fit some of the accessories for me. Maybe they probably weren't going to do all of them, but they were going to do like the mats and all that kind of stuff. And I actually said not to, because obviously I want to show you guys me unboxing them and fitting them. So they did offer though, and it's quite possible that whatever dealer you're taking delivery from will offer you the same. So you can't really knock that, you know, if you don't want to have to lump the big box home. I think the dealerships will be willing to help you out there, so that's good. But unboxing it and fitting it's all part of the fun. I know you're all dying to see it, so. The only problem with taking these scenic routes down these country lanes, I'm only 90% sure that I know where I'm going. I might end up getting a bit lost. It'll be interesting. Once I'm back, I will map out how long this route actually was versus the direct route. Might be just a little bit longer. Probably something you need to bear in mind if you're gonna take slightly longer routes to stay away from faster roads and you got limited range, so you need to think about it a little bit, but not the end of the world by any means. Probably going to need a slightly less shaky camera mount for filming in this car. I think going forward I'm using a different one to what I used when I drove the press car, and I can see it shaking around, I can see the picture shaking around as it's recording. I don't think this is going to be the best footage ever, but we'll get there. Over time I'm sure we can improve things and get it as good as can be. I'm going to have a slew of Ami content coming up very shortly. Got a few ideas in the pipeline for Ami related videos. So I'm going to do obviously a lot of the, you know, what's it like to live with and the stuff that'll help, you know, prospective buyers and new owners and all that stuff. But I also want to try and do some different stuff, some fun stuff as well. I've got a few ideas. Maybe do some comparison videos. You know, pick out some of those cars that everybody says they'll buy instead of Ami, like Ami Ev, you know, those kind of stuff, as small cheap electric cars, and do some comparisons. Maybe try and get some owners' opinions, and so let them drive Ami and let them see what it's all about and see what they think. Thinking about maybe doing that with some classic stuff over the ages, because, you know, if you look back in time, small cars that were all about, you know, the bare bones of urban mobility, and it's not a new concept, right? Ami does it differently to how anybody's ever done it before, but it's not a completely new concept. Like, we've definitely done this before. We've definitely done, you know, very small cars that were about, you know, getting people mobile cheaply, and maybe if I can talk some owners of maybe some classics and stuff into doing some filming and letting them, you know, poke and feel around Ami, and I'll drive something else and we'll see. I was also thinking about maybe just doing some like sort of travel type content, you know, a little bit inspired by the guys at Me and Mon Ami, of course, who I'm sure you're all familiar with. If you're watching any Ami content, it's going to be theirs. And obviously they're doing it in the French Riviera, and I don't quite have that available to me, but I'm sure we could find some places in England to go to both broaden my knowledge of the country around us, but also maybe make some good content for you of me trying to wangle Ami around some strange towns and villages and stuff. It could be quite fun. Let me know what you think. If you've got any ideas, anything you'd like to see, I'd definitely like to hear it. It looks like I took a wrong turning. I'm back on a road I could have been on earlier. But see what I mean about not knowing exactly where I'm going with these country roads. I'm pretty sure if I turned left instead of right when I did just then, I would have cut out a whole bit of the journey, which was my intention, but never mind. It'll just mean I'll need to see if the Type 2 charging works a bit earlier than I was planning, right? Yeah, my detour didn't quite work out. I'm back on a 50-mile-an-hour road that I was trying hard to avoid, but hey-ho, no drama. So I think if I'd known where I was going, I would have come out just up here somewhere. Or at least that's where I was trying to end up. Never mind. Really good on some narrower country lanes like this, because the car that was following me really closely because I was going slowly is now miles away, because they're having to slow down every time a car gets anywhere near them, whereas I'm so narrow, it just isn't a concern at all. I often come down this road in my daily driver, which is significantly wider and longer than this, and it's an absolute chore, whereas in this it's great. Although you might think that, you know, roads like this with higher speed limits, although it's 30 in this bit, but generally, you know, roads like this with higher speed limits might be a bit of a mare in the Ami, but its size is definitely an advantage. One thing that's quite interesting, which I didn't really notice when I did the test drives, because in Coventry it was quite busy and it was harder to sort of do sustained runs at the top speed, is that it noticeably, you can feel it pulling itself back when it sits at 28 for a bit too long and it thinks it's going to go a bit faster. You feel it noticeably cutting the power off. Not just like when you're accelerating hard and it stops, but just driving along, you feel it cuts the power, cuts the power. It's a very harsh speed limiter that's on here. And I think that definitely furthers the hope of people that think they might be able to do something about that. Obviously that would be a little bit naughty, and I definitely, you know, wouldn't openly endorse people doing that, but I'm sure that there's so much interest in if we can make this go a little bit faster that I'm almost certain that someone is going to work out how to. And the way it drives and the way the speed limiter cuts in quite aggressively makes me think there's going to be some scope there if someone can work out. And I'm sure it'll have some kind of protection on it, but I'm sure someone will work out. I'm now back on the 38, which I was obviously avoiding, cut quite a lot of it out by going that way, so I'm quite happy. This is a 40 zone I'm in now, so I'm not so worried about the speed limit. I'm not so worried about, you know, dying in a massive fireball or any of those things that people have told me will definitely happen if I try to drive one of these and speed limit of more than 20 or 30 miles an hour. It seems a-okay to me, and I'm almost home as well, which is awesome. So it's 30 miles of range remaining. Now I said it was a 15-mile journey, but I suspect the way I've gone it's a little bit more than that. But I think therefore, given we started with a full charge, it was showing sort of 45, 46 when we started, I think we're doing pretty well in terms of its predicted range versus its actual range, which is always good. Some cars play a little bit fast and loose with their guessometer. So there we are, that was the first drive. I made it home, I didn't die in the first UK Citroen Ami. If you're waiting for yours, I'm sure it won't be long now, and I bet you can't wait, and it will be worth it when it does come, believe me. Thank you so much for watching. Please do make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on any future videos. There's plenty more to come. I will welcome your ideas in the comments. If you've got any ideas for anything you want to see, please do let me know, and I'll see you next time.